Hi, welcome to The Confident Hypnotherapist. I'm Lawrence Akers. This week, I'm chatting with the legendary Sheila Granger. Now, I don't think there's many hypnotherapists on the planet who haven't heard of Sheila Granger and her incredible virtual gastric band program at some point in time. And I have to say that in my chat with Sheila, I found her truly inspiring, and that there was a lot of what she said that I could relate to in my own personal experience. And I had the feeling it might be the same for some of you out there too. So I really hope that you enjoyed this chat with Sheila. Just a reminder that I do have a Facebook group, the Hypnotherapist Networking Group. A lot of people have found some really good resources in there for people who are continuing to develop their professional skills. So I invite you, if you are interested, jump on Facebook, Hypnotherapist Network Group, and find us there. Otherwise, in the meantime, sit back, enjoy the chat with Sheila, and I'll see you again soon. You've been the creator of possibly one of the most recognizable hypnosis protocols out there with virtual gastric band. And you know, there's a fascinating aspect to that, because there's many people who like process and structure, and you know, what you've created is actually, I think for many people, enabled a lot of people who have really struggled to find confidence, knowing that they can, as long as they do what is there and focus on the client, they can produce a great result. So that's why I thought, you know, it'd be wonderful to be able to talk to you about that, given, you know, you've created something amazing for the hypnotherapy world.
Yeah, and all by accident, to be honest with you, Lawrence.
Well, you see, that's the kind of thing I think people find fascinating, because you know, obviously going, I could never do something like Sheila Granger, I could never create something like the virtual gastric band. But when you have someone that is, you know, like yourself, who goes, well, that was by accident, and this is what happened. Hopefully it reminds people to just get out of their own way and to start to explore what it is that they can do well.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it is really, you know, confidence breeds confidence, doesn't it? I think, you know, really early on, and I don't know where, to be honest with you, it probably came from, but really early on, when I'd only just qualified, I'd been qualified for a week, and so I had a training certificate that said that I was a hypnotherapist. But I hadn't been a great student. I hadn't been somebody who had done like hundreds of hours of practice or anything like that. And I had no background in putting myself out there or, you know, sort of being proactive as such. Well, the only proactiveness I had, I guess, was, you know, in my past life, you know, before I did all of this, you know, I had a 20-year career for the Social Security Office, for the government. And I was a fraud investigator. And I was on what they call a proactive team. So that meant we had to go and look for the fraud. You know, it wasn't, you know, allegation that Joe Bloggs is living with his, you know, that shouldn't be living there, or, you know, we had to go out and find it. So I guess that's the only proactiveness, if you like, that was in me. You had to have, you had to sort of think on your feet a bit. But I'd had this interest in how people think, because at the same time I was also a magistrate. So I always had this fascination to how people end up in the situations they end up in. You know, what life's paths has got them to this particular point to commit crime or whatever. So I saw this hypnotherapy course, and I never really intended to do anything with it at all. It was just a bit of interest. I was a bit of a librarian, I guess. You know, I liked going on courses. You know, we like going and learning stuff, you know. But at the same time, you know, I was getting a divorce. And so I suppose that was the element of, you know, one element of becoming confident and getting ourselves out there is, you know, we've almost got to have that skin in the game, haven't we? It's got to be, I have to do this, because otherwise, you know, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills, or, you know, what is the skin in the game? What is the drive? But I'd only been qualified for about a week, and the front page of my local newspaper was a plea for help. And it was a lady who had hiccuped for 5.5 years continuously. And she'd been everywhere and, you know, was looking for somebody to help her. And I don't to this day know what made me do it, because, you know, I'd had no background in contacting the media about anything before. But I rang this journalist up who had written the article, and I said, you know, I'm a hypnotherapist. and I think I might be able to help that lady. So if you'd like to let her know that I'm quite happy to do a complimentary session, if you'd like to arrange that, to just ring me on this number and it'll be arranged. I didn't expect to hear anything back, but the following day, the journalist rang me back and she said, we'd like to bring that lady to see you tomorrow and we'd like to film it for our website. You know, it's like, oh, no pressure there then. And that night, you know, I thought, how do you work with hiccups? There must be something in the hypnotherapy training manual that tells me about this. Where was it? Where was it? And I can assure you there was nothing, you know. So the next day I'm thinking, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with this lady? They brought her. She was really quiet. Didn't really get anything much out of her apart from the fact that she was a cleaner at a bingo hall. She mopped floors at a bingo hall, and she was getting a divorce, and that's all I knew. So the cameras are rolling. I'm doing my hypnotic induction that I've been taught, and I've got to 5, and I'm praying that an angel is going to appear and tell me what to say, because I'm up to 5, and at this moment in time, I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to say, because there was nothing in the training that told me. And so I then I thought, well, just keep it simple. Just go with what you know. Go with what you know. Say the first thing that says comes to your head. Anyway, she did stop hiccuping during the session, and she hasn't hiccuped since. So the paper then wrote this full-page article about me being a change expert, you know, which is laughable, isn't it? How can I possibly be a change expert, you know, when I've been out of training for 1 week and I've got this one case that I can hold up? But I guess, you know, it's at some point we have to be brave enough. And, you know, whether it's, in my case, whether it's bravery or stupidity or just being willing to give it a go and think, what is the worst that's going to happen here? Because even with that, what I've learned with the media over the time as well, you know, because I do a lot of stuff for the media. And, you know, if it doesn't work, you know what? Okay, I do a session and it doesn't work. I can't be discredited for that. You know, they're only going to, people think, you know, the media are going to discredit us, or they're going to look to catch us out, and they're really not. You know, they're only going to discredit you if you do something that's discreditable. So, you know, if you work from the right place, you know, that's all I do, just try things out. Because, you know, even with virtual gastric band, you know, I'd read a newspaper article about some people in Spain called the Shirans, who claimed to have come up with this concept of a gastric mind band to help people lose weight. And they were I think they were charging about €4,000 for somebody to go to Spain for 4 days for the process. It didn't say what they were doing apart from imaginary surgery. And I read that article and I thought, what a load of rubbish. What a con that is never, ever in a million years going to work for somebody. But at the time, 80% of my clients are coming for weight loss. And what I was doing wasn't good enough. So I thought, well, what the heck? I'm going to test that. I'm going to test that metaphoric approach to it and see what happens. So I kind of just came up with my own stuff about how that might look. Invited 25 people to come and test that program for free. Invited the media, come along and independently verify the results that I've got. Thinking, shit, you know, what if this doesn't work? What if it doesn't work? But it did work, you know, and I was as amazed as anybody else. I was the most amazed person in the room. But it was just, you know, I'd say I think that confidence, and although it's funny because people sort of think, oh, well, you know, you must have loads of confidence to go and do these things. And the reality is I don't. You know, I'm just a normal person, just like anybody else, but I've just worked at it. And, you know, I have the psyche that I'm not good enough. But what I do
push through that, because that's fascinating. Because, you know, what I'm hearing is someone who has been confident to step outside the comfort zone frequently, to say yes to opportunities that could have gone either way, and yet seemingly in those moments you've been able to really push through and deliver some incredible results. What have you done when you've had that not good enough psyche to tell yourself to, shush and get on with it?
Yeah, it's almost like I'm, that psyche in me comes from, consciously I can analyse this. So, consciously I wasn't good enough when I was born. I was adopted at birth. I was given away when I was born. And my adoptive parents, who, have been super, they've, I've loved them to pieces. They've given me a great upbringing. My parents are still alive today. And but my mum was quite a critical person. So, add the I'm, not good enough when I was born, super critical parents, I'm not good enough. My brother was the golden child, I was the rebel who went out drinking as soon as I possibly could, and spent all my wages in the pub. And, he got a good job and saved all his money and bought his first car, whereas I didn't have a penny because I'd drunk it all, so he was the golden child. But, the way I view it with my business is that, I actually drive that underlying feeling in a positive direction. So I drive it to prove to the world, well, I am good enough. Well, because I'm going to do the next thing. I'm going to do the next thing. And I'm going to do the next thing. Now, as we know, that's never going to get rid of that underlying internal feeling. But it makes me do more. So I'm actually using it and spinning it to do more as opposed to do less.
I will say there's a lot of background noise here, which is why I'm muting myself often. So I hope it's not too distracting when I do that, because there is seemingly a lot more noise here today than usual. I had a question that just disappeared. Don't you hate me though? But I had to get that. I had to get that disclaimer out about the background noise. Actually, that's a good way to go. You have created this incredible program, which is now being taught around the world with Virtual Gastric Band, and you've developed other programs in other areas as well. As I was saying to you before, I know a lot of people out there find that there's a lot of confidence in learning a program that is structured. What's your experience been of that when you've been training people? Have you seen that people have been able to embrace these programs in a way that perhaps they may not if that hadn't been as structured?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's what, attracts people to it, because, certainly early on, when we're first trained, although we know all this stuff, it's like, how do we put this together? And, how would I deliver that on a first session, second session, third session, fourth session? How might I look at things, or, like I say, structure it? And, when we're straight out the gate and have just trained, it's much easier to be able to pick up kind of a structure and a framework and be able to run with that, like you say, and get results. Because as soon as we get results, we think, oh, maybe this works. Maybe this shit actually works. Because I think as sometimes, even as hypnotherapists, we're looking for the magic ourselves, aren't we? Even when a client says to us, oh, that's been absolutely brilliant, I feel, whatever, we think, but do you really?
Absolutely. I've had that exact same experience at times too. Yeah.
Yeah. Has it really worked? Dare I ring you in a month and see if it still worked? But so, we're looking for the proof and the magic ourselves as well all the time. And, if we work from the right place and we, put a program instead of trying to create a overnight sensation, I think sometimes we put too much pressure on ourselves to create an instant fix for somebody. Early on, my business was based in a doctor's office. And in under 2 years, I grew it to a 35 client a week practice. With no business or marketing background at all, I just kind of one day seemed to have woken up with 35 clients a week, and I think, how has this happened? And I wouldn't recommend that as a business model by any stretch of the imagination, but it obviously gave me, hundreds of hours of client experience and prove that that is possible to do. But so I was in this doctor's office, and the doctor was very forward thinking to have me in there in the first place. But, he would see somebody, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times with their problem, maybe anxiety or something. I've tried every tablet under the sun, counselling, whatever. And even he would say, oh, well, you can go and see the hypnotist and see if she can fix you in one session. How is this a level playing field? You get 10 goes at it, and I only get one. And if it doesn't work in one, it's no good. Hypnosis is no good. So, I think we have to be careful not to set our own expectations too high, and put ourselves in a position where we're trying to prove something really, really quickly. That things are a level playing field.
I think that's the brilliance of the program as well, in a sense that it's very clearly 4 sessions. But on top of that, I think the brilliance for the hypnotherapist is that they're learning building blocks by going through the program as well, and beginning to be comfortable with some of these processes that you've very cleverly embedded within the actual body of the program as well. I guess, if you have hypnotherapists come to you saying that I seem to be working with clients and I just don't seem to be getting the results that I want, what kind of advice would you offer them on that?
Are we talking in general here, Lawrence? Or
let's I would say in general. So, I guess as someone who is recognised as being one of the leaders in the hypnotherapy world, I imagine you may have people come up to you occasionally saying, Sheila, I've been working with these kind of clients. I just don't seem to be getting results. What am I doing wrong? And that is a very general question, very broad. I can imagine that there's potentially lots of different avenues in which you might ask them to consider where it might be going wrong. But what would be some of the immediate things that would come to mind for you in terms of where they could look and see how they could possibly improve?
So the question that always comes into my mind, and even in my own sessions, if I have a session that, perhaps the results aren't there, or not as good as I would have hoped, or it's just not going to plan somehow. When I reflect on that, the number one thing where something has gone wrong is because I have allowed clients to become the hypnotist in the room. And that's sort of the first thing is, and it was said to me years ago, there can only be one hypnotist in the room. And what it means by that is, we're there to influence somebody's behaviour. And you will always have these clients. Say, for example, a client comes for weight loss, and what they want is weight loss. That's what they book for. They want weight loss. And we know there might be other triggers or associations that we have to look at, but they want weight loss. That's what they paid for. But this same client can start to throw in red herrings and say, oh, well, I'm a bit depressed about this, or I've got anxiety about that, which are completely unrelated to weight loss, seemingly. But we then start to follow their lead on that. So all of a sudden then, who is doing the leading in this session? Who is doing the influencing? Who is being the hypnotist? And, those type of clients, when you've allowed that to happen, the results just aren't going to be there because they are not following your commands. You are following theirs. So, the first thing is we have to be the only hypnotist in the room. And when I reflect on the ones that, haven't gone as well, it's like, at that point, I've let that person become the hypnotist.
And how do you handle those sort of situations? Because that's a fascinating comment. I hadn't thought of it in that way. And you are absolutely right. Again, I think we've all had experiences like that. How have you handled those sort of situations in terms of being able to reclaim that hypnotherapist title back in those situations?
I mean, the easiest way, I suppose, is to wipe the slate clean again, isn't it? And just say, okay, this client has come for weight loss. This is what we're going to do. And, we're going to ignore all of that and, just refocus back on the things that we should be doing. Because, the best thing we can do with any session from the very beginning, the first time we see somebody, is to create some kind of quick win. Our clients are looking for magic, just like we're looking for the magic still. But, our clients are looking for a magic wand. And although we need to manage expectations around that, because, if, say, for example, for weight loss, we all want to wake up thin tomorrow, this person isn't going to lose 3 stone overnight. We need to manage expectations about what is and isn't going to happen. But also, if we can create a quick win, which is really what gastric band does, that metaphor of, imaginary surgery, is creating a quick win, something that somebody can latch onto straight away and instantly get a result. Then we've got time to work on all the other stuff as well that, may need to be looked at, the triggers, associations, all the layers. But what we've done is created a quick win instantly, where the person instantly knows the difference, instantly starts to lose weight. Whereas if we take it down the other avenue, whereby, okay, well, we've got to look at all these other areas first before we can start getting you to lose weight, then the client's belief system that hypnosis is actually something, because they've come for hypnosis. So we've got to somehow create that quick win. Or if we were working with somebody with pain control, for example, we need to, on that first session, be able to turn that pain down so that they notice that straight away. So we've created the quick win, and their belief system then kicks in and stays with you that you are somebody who can help them with these things.
If you could go back in time and to give yourself starting out in your career some advice from what you know now, what is it that you would tell yourself back then?
Learn how to run a business. Don't take so many years to learn how to do that. I think, in a way, I wouldn't have had it any other way, in that, I've had, a real privilege of working with the people that I've worked with. And, we learn so much from our clients. They're our real teachers. We can learn frameworks and protocols and all of this, but the person you learn the most from, your biggest gift is your client. And keep learning from them, really. So I've had a real, honour and privilege of that. But looking back, and saying all these things where I have kind of, dropped myself out of my comfort zone continuously, they have been the biggest, they've created the biggest leaps in my business. So, although people might view that I've always dropped myself out of my comfort zone, there will be times that I didn't. So where could things be if I'd taken every opportunity to take myself out of my comfort zone?
What about in terms of when you were starting out? Were there other particular therapists that you looked up to, and what kind of wisdom did you gain from working with them?
I've only ever done one hypnosis training course. I did a standard hypnotherapy practitioner diploma, and I haven't done any other training at all. No NLP, no extra courses, absolutely nothing apart from that. Which, kind of goes to show that you can create all of this and all these results with a good foundation training that gives you all the different tools and techniques that you can mix and match and suit together for the magic recipe for your clients. I've, if anything, the only thing I've continued to learn about is, the business and marketing side of things. Because although, some people might think, oh, that's a bit boring, I want to learn about the therapy. And yes, if you're going to niche in an area, we need to be absolutely brilliant at that. So learn all there is to learn about it, be perfect at it, because you're going to be doing a lot of it. So, you need to be good at it. But it's more, once we learn the marketing, and marketing doesn't have to be boring, but we need to be able to get ourselves out there, because otherwise we'll just be the best kept secret. The more, like I, teach a lot on press and media and getting media exposure for hypnotherapists. And the reason being is because, if one person lands an article in the newspaper or talks on the radio, it immediately piques the public's interest in what hypnosis can do to help them. And we all gain from that as a profession. So the more we all put ourselves out there, the more the public know about us, the more people are going to contact us for help, and we can actually use this fantastic skill set that we've got in so many different areas.
The interesting thing about the whole press release side of it, though, is I imagine that if you do experience that lack of confidence or that fear of failure, it can be quite daunting to invite the press in to come in and meet with you. And how I imagine that you've been living proof that if you can push through that, you can create wonderful things. But how do you work with your students to convince them that they just need to get past that hesitation and to put themselves out there?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, so with some of my students, it's more about accountability, so yeah, I can motivate people to do it, and I can tell them all the reasons that would be good for the business, but ultimately it comes down to you as a person. I've got to press that button and just do it. Think, well, what's the worst that's going to happen? I'll just do it. Sheila said do it, I'll do it. But then, what's happened is that students then are like, oh my goodness, a journalist has contacted me. Oh my goodness, I'm going to go and talk on the radio. What am I going to talk about? But then we've done it once, and it feels good then, doesn't it? It feels like, wow, I've done that. And when they see the name in lights or whatever, it then encourages people to do more. But we've got to somehow, get over ourselves to press that start button. And it almost comes down to not even just confidence. I think it's almost that fear of being judged, isn't it? Because
Absolutely. Even when you're working with people, that fear that if it doesn't work, you're going to think it's your fault. You didn't do a good job.
Yeah. Or we tend to, hang around, if you like, with, other hypnotherapists who may be doing things like that already, and you think, oh no, I can't do that because that person's already done that in my area, or I should be doing that because they're doing that. And, what I've really done all the time is just paddle my own canoe. I haven't looked sideways too much. I've just continued to look, this is what I'm doing. I'm going in this direction. And with any, with any business, with any marketing, with any clients that you work with, there is always going to be bumps in the road, always. And, what I've learned from a hypnosis business is that you're on a roller coaster permanently, even in the same day. So there'll be parts of the day it's like, yes, there's that fantastic result with that lady, or then there'll be other parts of the day where, the brown envelopes come from a tax man, or, whatever it may be, there's always, you sort of kind of get used to the uncomfortable feelings, because if we actually make friends with those uncomfortable feelings, then that means that if we've got them, we're actually moving forward. If we haven't got any uncomfortable feelings and everything feels okay, then we are just staying in exactly the same position. So, like I have an accountability partner for my stuff, and, and I would recommend that everybody gets themselves an accountability partner. It doesn't have to be anybody in the hypnosis world. It can be, somebody in business. Ideally, somebody that's got a level of about the same as you. So they might be starting up, they might be, growing. They might, get somebody about the same level as you, and meet up once a week. Because anybody with a business has got the same issues. It's either sales, marketing, staff, whatever. They're all the same problems, whatever level of the business. And having that accountability, and that might be to test something new out, or do a new piece of marketing, or, like I say, invite the press. If you've got accountability with somebody, you're sort of saying, this is what I'm going to do, and they're going to say, and you're going to do that this next week, and you think, oh my goodness, I've got to get this done in the next week, and then I've got to go back and see this person again, and it'll work the other way as well. So I have this guy who I meet every Monday. He actually has owns a big business networking business, and we both discuss where we are, what we need to get done. We'll come out with 2 or 3 things that have to happen by the next week. And it doesn't matter how busy I am with anything else, I have to at some point get those things done, no matter how much I want to put them off or not do them, you know. And often when we meet up, you know, I might be sitting in my car 10 minutes before this meeting's due to start, making that phone call that I'd have said that I would make, that I've been putting off. So that, you know, the accountability kind of, you know, makes you do things, and, you know, kind of pushes you over the edge to do it, really. But if we make friends with those uncomfortable feelings, then that means that, you know, it means we're passionate about something as well. And you know, and also it's watching who we hang around with. You know, I have this mantra for the day, that my day is almost in thirds. So a third of the day is, what can we do to give other people a leg up? You know, who's kind of, you know, below you, right? Okay, how can I give people a leg up? But no reason at all apart from just to give them a leg up. Then I might spend a third of the day hanging around with people who are, you know, where I am, you know, and a third of the day with people where you want to be. You know, because then you kind of got some balance going on, haven't you? You're giving back, you're, you know, helping people, but then you've also got the excitement of where things could go as well.
Lots and lots of really wonderful advice you're giving. And I'm just finding myself nodding in agreement so much with everything you're saying. It's like, yeah, I can hear that there's a lot of acceptance and commitment kind of there as well, particularly around those uncomfortable feelings, and learning to be able to just sit with them and to acknowledge them and accept them for what they are, but still know where you've got to go in terms of your purpose and your vision and your values.
Yeah, and you know, it's, when we talk, you know, going back to kind of the press and media and dropping yourself out of the comfort zone, you know, I've done it so many times. Almost it proves the point that it can't really go wrong. And, you know, when an opportunity presents itself to you, we've got to be prepared to grab it and run with it. Even if we don't really know what we're supposed to be doing, but, you know, we do it anyway. And, you know, the media, again, it was fairly early on, the media rang me up and they said, do you do anything with past life regression? And I hadn't seen a single person, not one single person that I'd done anything with past life regression with since my training. And so, but I said, yeah, that's really popular. Because it is popular. And if I'd have said, no, I don't do that, then they were looking for a story. They would contact somebody else. So there was going to be an opportunity there. So I just said, yeah, that's really popular. So they said, well, would you do, you know, something at somebody's house whereby, you know, get a group of women together and you hypnotise them all into a past life together? Would you do that kind of thing? And I said, that's really popular. I hadn't done any of it. The funny thing
I would have been terrified at that. I would have been like, oh, yeah, sure, I could do that.
I still had my job as a fraud investigator at the time as well. I still had the day job. I wasn't full-time in hypnosis at this point. And then they said, oh, how many of those have you done? I said, I don't know, 35, 50. I ain't done any. That was a barefaced lie that had just come out of my mouth. And so they said, oh, well, you know, we'd like to set something up in somebody's house. We're going to send a reporter down. We'd like to write a section for the female section of the newspaper. So, and it's all right, you know, telling a few white lies or grabbing the opportunity because you know you can deliver the goods. You know, I may not be a past life regression expert, but I can do enough to get by. And so they set this thing up, and the night before, I thought, past life regression. It was that page on the hypnotherapy training manual, page 47, past life regression. And I just went for it, and they did this double page article in the newspaper about past life regression parties and how popular they were, and the phone rings off the hook for past life regression parties. But the funny thing was, my boss at the time at the fraud office, he called me into his office the next day, and he had this double page spread, this newspaper in front of him, and he slams it down and said, "I didn't know that you were doing this party plan type of work." And I said, "I'm not." And he said, "Well, it says here you've done 35 of them." I said, "Well, don't you believe everything you read in a newspaper?"
Oh my goodness, that would have been an awkward situation to say the least.
Yeah, definitely. But, it's sort of, with hypnosis, we do have, there are just so many avenues we can go into, so many avenues. And, because I always think, and sometimes when I'm explaining hypnosis, it's just about how people think. So if you take the word hypnosis away from it and think about it in terms of how people think, that means there's so many different avenues we can go into, which is what I do really locally. I will take it into schools, colleges, businesses, sales teams, and I'm not ever selling hypnosis. I don't sell hypnosis. What I sell is a solution to a problem. Hypnosis is just a modality that I'm going to use. But it's always worth remembering, that, people buy you as a person, more than anything. You might have people who have more qualifications than you do, but it's you that people buy. So it doesn't matter that there's somebody down the road offering a very similar service. If they buy you, it's you that they want to see.
And I guess that highlights why it's more important than ever to put yourself out there so that people can get to experience who you authentically are.
Yeah.
And to make sure they really like you so they come to see you.
Yeah, definitely. And, early on with Virtual Gastric Band, it's a little bit of madness, really, because, there'd been some media attention, around the world on it. And I had this lady, I was doing Zoom sessions, or Skype at the time, and she was in Florida, in Tampa Bay. And her internet kept breaking up, her Wi-Fi, and she said, "I need to get my husband to send you some more money." And I said, "Well, you don't owe me any more money because we haven't done the sessions you're supposed to have yet." And she said, "Oh, well, that's not your fault. It's our fault for not sorting the Wi-Fi out." And then she said, "Well, can't I just pay for you to come over here and do the sessions here?" And I said, "Well, that'd be quite expensive." She said, "I know, flight, time away from your business. Well, can you just put me a package price together and let me know how much it would be?" And I thought, she's never going to do this. Anyway, the following week, I'm on the plane going to Tampa Bay in Florida. She put me up in this 5-star Don Caesar hotel and sent a driver every day to come and get me to go and do the sessions with her. Because she had decided I was the person that she wanted to work with. Now, how many other hypnotherapists are there in Florida, around the world? It really doesn't matter. People choose you. And like I say, that's why it's so important that, we do put ourselves out there. Like one really quick tip anyway, if you get client inquiries, video is the way forward at the moment. And, we've all got these magical devices. So if you get a client inquiry or somebody contacts you on Facebook or something, rather than email them back or immediately ring them or, why not just shoot them a quick video? "Hi, Sheila Granger here. Thanks for your inquiry. I'm going to send you an email later with all the details, but I just wanted to say hello. Hope you have a great day." And, just instantly introducing you to them.
That's a really great idea, actually. I was even just thinking there, it's so easy if you relied upon a computer instead of a phone to just use Zoom to be able to record a video of yourself in a meeting and send that across if you wanted as well. So there's lots of really easy options with technology nowadays. That's a great idea.
Because I recently, I sort of first came across it. I put my car had gone into the Mercedes garage for service, and about halfway through the day, I got a text message from them. And on this text message, it was a video, And it was the guy who was servicing my car. And it's like, oh, hello, it's John here at the Mercedes garage. I've got your car on the ramp here, as you can see, and I just want to show you these bits in the car. And he was going around it, and I thought, Lord, this bill's going to be massive, because he's pointing out all these things that are wrong with this car. But fortunately, they weren't all wrong. He was just pointing out various bits. But, that's how they're doing it. So if businesses like that are embracing, technology in that way, but I think more for us as hypnotherapists, taking it back to the people have got to buy you. And that's why it doesn't matter if there's other people doing something similar. It doesn't matter if there's somebody out there who you think, oh, they're much more confident than I am, they look better than I do, they do this better. That makes no scrap of difference whatsoever, because, not everybody will like us, and that's okay too. They're not my customer. But also, how we engage with people is hugely important, because, our profession is all about how we make people feel. So if we can make people feel good and they like us as a personality, and that doesn't mean we have to reinvent our personality, it just means you have to be you.
That's actually a really good point, because a number of times I've seen videos from people online, and you can see they're discovering creating video for the first time, and there's almost that rigidness that goes on. And even, in my own course that I produced, if you compare me in Module 1 to me by Module 18, Module 1 is me being very stiff and, welcome to this course. And by 18, it's like, look, you do this, okay? And it's definitely that shift in just allowing yourself to be on camera.
And the good thing about our jobs as well, is we can, all right, we've got this title of a hypnotherapist. What if we could give ourselves a different job title? What would your job title be? Would you be, the weight loss master or the mindset master? Or, think about giving yourself a standout job title. A job title that means something to your potential audience. It's that kind of, in the UK we had this advert that was Ronseal fence paint, and the advert went, it does what it says on the tin. And that's really what our marketing message should be, isn't it? It does what it says on the tin. So perhaps, branding needs thinking about, but think about a title that means something to your audience, of course, and your potential customers, but also means something to you. What label are you going to wear today that makes you want to step up and be that person? So that every client you work with, I am being the expert, whatever, make it unique to you as a person.
I'm aware that I should probably let you go in a minute. You've been very generous with your time. But if people wanted to get in touch with you or check out the range of services that you offer, what's the best way they can do that?
Well, you can certainly find me on Facebook. My Facebook is actually Sheila Elaine Granger. So send me a friend's request. It tells you all about events and things that are going on. And my website is SheilaGranger.com. I'm always really happy to hear from any hypnotherapists around the world. I think those people that know me well know that, I do attempt to support people as much as I possibly can. Whether you've bought a program from me or not, I will offer the same support, because we all need that at some point. And we'll all have clients at some point where we think, oh, I'm going to scratch my head what to do with this person. Because I've been there too, and are still there some days. So, do reach out to me at any time. I'm always glad to hear from people, glad to give advice, help, that would be great.
Sheila, thank you so much for your time and for having a chat with us. You really have, you've brought a smile to my face so many times during our discussion, simply because you've reminded me so often of so many things that I've done myself or do myself. So our chat has really touched me this evening. So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure being here with you today.